Elon's company merged with another company.
Yeah.
It became PayPal.
Right.
He was running the company. He went on an investment raising trip, and when he got back, what happened?
Well, yeah, so you know, I think it's not a good idea to leave the office when there are like a lot of major things underway which are causing people a great deal of stress.
Yeah.
But it was a combination of needing to raise money, and I'd gotten married earlier that year and not had any vacation or honeymoon or anything, so it was kind of a combined financing trip / honeymoon.
Yeah.
And and anyway, but away for 2 weeks, and there was just so much. There was just a lot of worry, and that caused the management team to decide that I wasn't the right guy to run the company, and so the board was like, you know, geez, what do we do? So basically, I could have fought it really hard, but instead I said, you know, rather than fight it at this critical time, best to sort of concede.
It's amazing to me how you managed, when I first asked you about this, you said you buried their hatchet. and you know, basically the person who replaced you just put, I think, $20 million or so into your company. And how did you get past that kind of betrayal? I mean, how did you guys patch it up?
Yeah, that's actually an interesting story. Well, I didn't agree with their conclusion. I understood why they took the action they did, and they're not, you know, Peter and Max and David and the other guys. I mean, they're smart people with generally the right motivations. They did what they thought was right, and I think for the right reasons. I mean, except that the reasons weren't valid, in my opinion. But it's hard to argue with the ultimate outcome, which was positive. So,
right.
you know, I just thought, you know, it's just easy to be better and just hate them forever. But you know, it's best the better course of action is to turn the other cheek and sort of you know, make the relationship good, and it was. You know, but I put a lot of effort into sort of making things good, and then actually recently the Founders Fund, which is comprised primarily of ex-PayPal people, including Peter, who replaced me as CEO, invested in SpaceX. Yeah, and I invested in Peter's things before that.
So I want to put up something about what this you know, PayPal sale to eBay helped make possible. Tell us what we're looking at.
That's the Tesla Roadster, which is the world's first production electric sports car.
And how much does it cost? How fast is it? Give us the sales pitch.
Okay.
They just opened a dealership, so he should be good at this.
Actually, I've sold a lot of cars. So the Tesla Roadster is the nutshell. You know, the elevator speech thing is that the Roadster is faster than a Ferrari and more efficient than a Prius. So it actually has better acceleration than any Ferrari except the Enzo, and it's about 3.9 seconds 0 to 60. And that actually understates the true acceleration, because 0 to 60 for a gasoline car is measured from when the wheels start moving, but the wheels only start moving when you engage the clutch, and it typically takes about a quarter second or more to engage the clutch. But there's no clutch for our car. It's direct drive, so you don't have a clutch engagement delay. So it's like a gasoline car with a 0 to 60 of about 3.6 seconds. And it's good, incredibly good handling. And then the energy efficiency of the car is probably the most amazing thing. It only costs $4 at current California rates to go about 250 miles. So the range, the current EPA rated range, which is a combination of highway and city with the air conditioning on, is 244 miles.
So it's amazing. So this is, I mean, it's so cool. It costs $109,000 if anybody's interested.
It's expensive, but it's comparable to like a Porsche 911, right. You know. So we wanted to have something which was in the price range of a comparable gasoline car, that it could, you know, probably beat, and so that's key, because it's one thing to have a compelling product, but it has to be a compelling product at a compelling price.
Right. You, in the press, obviously, this has gotten a lot of attention, and Elon's taken a lot of flack for various redesigns. You've been portrayed as a micromanager, redesigning the headlights or whatever.
I thought it was a nano manager. I've improved several orders of magnitude.
So, why does the car need to be perfect? I mean, why did you need to redesign, the doors, for instance?
Well, first of all, the car is definitely not perfect.
Okay.
In fact, one of the things that troubles me personally is, like, when I see a product, I can immediately see a readout of all the flaws.
Yeah.
I need to reprogram myself or remind myself to, like, look at the good things as well. So it's certainly far from perfect, but the acceptance, I mean, fundamentally, if you don't have a compelling product at a compelling price, you don't have a great company. And that was really the gate that the car had to pass through. And so there were things like the door sills, because we used a chassis that was inherited from Lotus Elise. In retrospect, we should have completely redesigned the car and not used any Elise componentry, because it's sort of like you go into a house and you think you'll just change this or that and it'll be all okay, and then you end up changing everything in the house. It would have been better to just level the house and start and do something new, because our car is 30% heavier. The load points are all different, so we had to really redesign the chassis. And one of the things I said we've got to do is to lower the door sills. And as it is, our door sills are still too high, but imagine if they're 2 inches higher, because that's what they were. It made it almost unusable, in my view.
Yeah, I mean, what Elon, I think you were quoted saying something like, DeLorean failed because they built a bad car, and, and the car needs to be worth $109,000 to
absolutely,
make it work.
Absolutely, exactly. If you don't, exactly, we did not want to create another DeLorean, and the DeLorean kind of looked kind of cool, but it was really weak on performance.
Yeah.
It was unreliable, and there were lots of little issues with the car, and we just didn't want to be in that situation. And it's not like, I mean, we could have built a worse car and still sold a bunch of them, but if you don't sell enough to make the business look attractive to future investors, you're not going to attract the capital to take it to the next level, or even to sustain where it is.
How many orders have you taken?
1,200 deposits.
Wow.
So we only take orders when somebody puts down a deposit of at least $5,000.
Yeah. So I'm going to move to another company, but you told me that the last successful car startup was Jeep in 1941.
Yeah, in the U.S., yeah.
In the U.S. So doesn't that kind of say something bad about going into the car business? I mean, why go for this?
Well, certainly I would not have done this if it were a gasoline car. So this is not about, it's not because I thought the world had a shortage of sports cars that we started Tesla. It's because it's very important that we accelerate the transition away from gasoline, for environmental reasons, for economic reasons, for national security reasons. It's very, very fundamental. And frankly, even if you don't believe in the environmental reasons, even if you don't believe in the national security reasons, it's obviously gasoline, oil is not a renewable resource. And sooner or later, the economic issues are going to cause a collapse of the economy, literally a collapse of the economy, if we don't find an alternative, because you'll be paying $20, $30, $40 for gasoline, and the stuff's going to get, it's going to start approaching the price of gold. I mean, it's going to be crazy. So we got to find a renewable alternative, and the good that Tesla is doing is not just Tesla's what Tesla is itself. It's the example that Tesla sets for the rest of the industry. In fact, people have probably seen the announcement for the Chevy Volt. Well, Bob Lutz is the champion of the Chevy Volt, and he credits Tesla with getting the Chevy Volt started, because when we unveiled our Tesla Roadster a couple years ago, and he saw the press release, he took the Tesla press release, went to his development guys and said, if a little company in California can do this, why can't we?
Yeah.
And that's what prompted the Chevy Volt.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about how we power these things. That's a picture of the workshop or just south of San Francisco, right? And then this is another company that Elon, this is probably the one that you're maybe least involved with on a day-to-day basis,
yeah.
but it's Solar City. And sort of the elevator pitch for this one is, as you've told it to me before, is you're going to do for solar power what Dell did for computers, which I think is such a nice way of putting it. And I was hoping you could just unpack that for us a little bit.
Certainly. Well, Dell doesn't make the CPU or the hard drive or the memory, but they put it all together, and they manage the relationship with the end customer. They manage the service and all that. And that's a very important element, because if you had to go to Intel and buy your CPU and somewhere else and buy your hard drive and put that all together, very few people would have computers.
Yeah.
So Solar City is about packaging that all, making it really easy to use, or just basically make one call. It's just seamless and painless. And then they also have a lot of innovation on the financing front. So they did a $300 million debt facility with Morgan Stanley that allows the end consumer to sign up for solar power, put no money down, and your utility bill decreases. So it's a complete no-brainer. Now, it doesn't work for every house, because your house has to be, south-facing, have a south-facing roof and be of sufficient size, and you have to be in an area where electricity is not super cheap.
Yeah.
But it works for a lot of houses, and maybe probably a third of the houses in California, something like that. And so they've just enjoyed phenomenal growth. I mean, they're literally growing as fast as they can hire good people. I mean, the numbers for the month of August came in, and Solar City is as big as the next 5 solar power providers combined in California. So, and all credit to them. I mean, really, it's a phenomenal job. I mean, I was sort of weighing every now and again, like, yeah, how about this, or how about that? But really, I deserve very little credit for Solar City.
No nano-managing there.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
So Jane brought up Mars in her introduction. And, you got to